Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on Past the Pavement with Brady. At this point in my riding career, I've had the opportunity to use 4 out of the 5 tank bags that Mosko Moto offers to the market today. Previously, we reviewed the Mosko Moto Nomax tank bag, which is the king of organization and compartmentalization. Today, we're going to look at the opposite end of that spectrum, and we're going to be looking at the Mosko Moto Hood 2.0 tank bag. The master of the tub style bag that is simple and easy to use and offers quick access to your items when you need them the most. So let's jump right in. I think that the Hood tank bag is probably one of the best tank bags out there for motorcycle content creators. Its simple design offers really quick and easy access to things like cameras, batteries, microphones, and anything in between. And while I do think that it is a great fit for motorcycle content creators, I also want to explore if it would be a great fit for you. Ultimately, the Hood tank bag is a simple and easy to use design that really promotes the idea of being able to grab your things and go quickly with them. It doesn't offer a lot of compartmentalization, it doesn't offer a lot of organization, but it does offer a lot of convenient storage for your items. And put simply, the tank bag is the thing that probably should be the most convenient when it comes to your luggage. You should be able to get in and out of your tank bag quickly so that you can access the items that you need in a convenient way. Throughout today's video, we're going to explore some things that help us answer 2 main questions. First of all, is the Hood tank bag the right tank bag for you? And second, how does the Hood tank bag stack up to a lot of its other competitors? And we're going to do that as we move through 5 different categories. The first category is, why might you buy this tank bag? The second category is going to be the pricing and comparison to some of the other competitors on the market. The third is going to be how this bag fits on different bike models, so really just the sizing and the fitment. I'll show you how I pack it. And finally, we'll briefly talk about what makes this Mosko Moto tank bag different from the other tank bags that are made by Mosko Moto. Let's jump right into that first category. Why might you want to buy this tank bag, and why did I buy this tank bag? Over a lot of other tank bag options out there, like we've already said, this is a really simple design. It's incredibly easy to get into and access the things that you need to get quickly and efficiently. If you're trying to pull your camera out to get that shot that you just rode by on the road, or that shot quickly before the conditions go away, or whatever the case is, this bag offers a large amount of convenience and efficiency in doing that. Also, if you just don't like fumbling around with all the nooks and crannies that something like the Nomax has, then this might be a good option for you. And while there are options in between, this is going to be the simplest one to use and the one that makes it the easiest to get to your items quickly. Another reason why you might consider buying this bag, and another reason why I decided to buy this bag, is that when the conditions change outside, you don't have to worry about fumbling around with any kind of rain covers or waterproof covers, anything like that. This design is 100% waterproof as it sits, and that's really nice and gives you a lot of peace of mind whenever you might be riding in some rainier conditions, or some conditions that might change rapidly and become wet and rainy when you weren't expecting it. Oftentimes, as motorcycle riders, we're left with the question of whether or not we should gear up for the bad weather or not. Do we dress comfortably and in a way that keeps us nice and cool when we're riding? Or do we prepare for the worst and potentially overdress for something that never happens? This tank bag, as far as your motorcycle gear, takes that decision completely out of the question. It's always ready for the conditions to change, and obviously because you're not wearing it, it doesn't matter if it's overdressed or not. So if you watched my Nomax review video, you know that that bag is large enough in the main compartment to fit a full frame camera and zoom lens, which is pretty impressive. However, it doesn't necessarily make those things easily accessible, and more importantly, if you're trying to maximize the capacity of that bag, it's not necessarily a good option to run around with your camera and your lens attached. I wanted something that made my camera really easy to get to for those situations when I want to pull it out of the bag as quick as possible, snap a photo, throw it back in the bag, and keep going. And the storage capacity and the way that it's laid out in this bag made it really possible and easy for me to do that. Despite the fact that the storage capacity in this is lower than something like the Nomax, I find that it is much simpler to take something like a camera along with me and have easy and quick access to it. And that doesn't just go for cameras, it goes for anything that you might be carrying. Those are the reasons that I bought the Hood tank bag specifically. Hopefully some of those reasons might help you decide whether or not this is going to work for you or not. But regardless, another big factor that goes into whether or not this is going to work for most people is the price of this bag. Now, there's no denying that prices in the motorcycle industry across the board have gone up in the last couple of years. And that is true for Mosko Moto as well. And I find that when we talk about Mosko Moto in general, a lot of people become sensitive when we talk about the pricing of it. Mosko Moto generally prices their gear pretty high. If you want to buy Mosko Moto gear, you should expect to pay premium prices that align with some of the other flagship items in the motorcycle market. I think that while it remains competitive with some of the other pricing out there on the market, this is an insanely expensive bag. Just keep in mind that when I flash the number on the screen and it seems like it's ridiculous and ludicrous, stay tuned for just a little bit longer and you'll see how this stays competitive with a lot of the other options out there on the market. There's no getting around it. This bag listed in the US today is $289, and that's without any additional accessories. If you were able to take advantage of their Black Friday sale a few weeks ago, then you might have been able to pick this bag up for just under $250. But for most of us, that's probably not the case, and so $289 is what you're going to be looking at. There are a couple of different configurations that you can purchase it from Mosko Moto in. One of those configurations is the bag plus the Navigator cell phone pocket. The Navigator cell phone pocket is something that attaches to the top, and all it really does is provide a convenient place for you to put your cell phone throughout the ride. It allows you to look at your cell phone if that's something that you want to do by lifting the flap and being able to see what's on the screen. I do find that the Navigator cell phone pocket does make it difficult to use your phone. However, the plastic cover on top does work for some pass-through on your touch functionality. That configuration for the Hood tank bag is $329. While I do have the Navigator cell phone pocket that matches this bag, that's not actually the configuration that I prefer to run it in. In the last year or so, Mosko Moto redesigned their Molle pouches, and one of the things that they released when they did that was the Molle Slim pouch. That's what I prefer to run on the top of my Hood tank bag. I find that it's a really convenient option for having your phone in an accessible location if you're not mounting it to your handlebars or something like that. The Molle Slim pouch comes in at $35 if you buy it separately on the website. They don't currently offer a configuration of this tank bag when you buy it that includes the Molle Slim pouch, so you're gonna have to buy the base tank bag and then add the Molle Slim pouch separately. So just to summarize the specific pricing on the Hood tank bag, if you want to buy your bag in addition to a convenient way to store your phone, then you're gonna be looking somewhere in the range of $320 to $330. To address the elephant in the room, I want to mention that there are cheaper alternatives to this, similar styled bags that come in at a much lower price. And one prime example of those bags is the Tusk Olympus bag. It is also a tub style bag with a flap that opens up just like the Hood does, and it comes in at about $100. I've never personally used that Tusk tank bag or any Tusk tank bag, but I have used some Tusk products in the past and they seem to be really high quality. If you look outside of the Tusk realm and you start comparing this bag to some of the other prominent main features in the motorcycle gear market, you'll see that the pricing on it is actually pretty competitive. Specifically, we'll take a look at Giant Loop bags. That's what we did whenever we reviewed the Nomax bag, so it only seems appropriate that we do the same when we review the Hood. There are some minor differences between the designs and the way that those bags are laid out compared to the Hood, but they are pretty insignificant. Giant Loop likes to utilize a lot of zippers, where Mosko Moto likes to utilize clips and buckles. I do think that Mosko kind of gets leg up on that, and that's just because when I've used zippers in the past on moto luggage, I found that they tend to break down somewhat quickly. They don't generally hold up to a lot of dust very well, and more importantly, when they're advertised as waterproof zippers, a lot of times that just doesn't end up being the case in real use. So the main Giant Loop competitors to this bag are going to be the Diablo and the Fandango. To most people's surprise, the Diablo actually comes in at the same price as the Mosko Moto Hood. It comes in at $289. Now, stepping up another level in the Giant Loop bag hierarchy, we move on to the Fandango. And the Fandango comes in at $299. So for the base bag, I think the Mosko Moto is really competitive. And as we continue to talk about pricing, I want to tell you what's included with the Mosko Moto bag and why that might kind of set it above some of those other options that are similarly priced. When you purchase a hood tank bag, you're going to get a few things that come standard with it. The first one is going to be the harness that you use to install the bag on your bike. These harnesses are generally high quality and they make it really easy to mount your bags to a lot of different bikes. The other thing, and this is specific to the Mosko Moto Hood, is that you get a nice organizer pouch that comes with it. And the bag is well thought out in the sense that there's actually a place in the bag that's dedicated for the organizer pouch with a Velcro strip on the backside that attaches to the back of the organizer pouch. I think that this is Mosko's way of trying to add a little bit of organization to a bag that traditionally doesn't have much to begin with. And the organizer pouch is great for storing things like charging cables, power adapters, and little everyday items. I actually found that there's enough compartmentalization in this bag. Keep in mind it is very minimal when I say that, but there's enough in this bag for me to be able to carry charging cables, power adapters, motorcycle keys. I find that there's enough room in the extra pouches in this bag to carry those things as is. And so I've actually repurposed my organizer pouch to be my main toiletry kit that I take whenever I'm moto camping. And it's large enough to store everything I need in my toiletry kit except for a towel. You can also purchase the organizer pouch separately on Mosko Moto's website if that's something that you're interested in buying on its own. Another thing that you get whenever you purchase this bag, it's a little bit more than just a tub bag. There are a couple of zippered pouches in there that stay out of the way and are pretty low profile. I'll be showing those to you later on in the video. Another thing that you get, and this is with any Mosko Moto bag, is a pretty decent warranty. Now, as of recent, I've had some friends that have had some issues in dealing with the warranty and getting certain things replaced or repaired. But I will say that I've used the warranty personally multiple times and I've never had issues with it. It seems like the majority of the time when the issues arise with warranty claims, it's when people have purchased bags secondhand. With that in mind, I would recommend either buying new directly from Mosko, or if you want to save a little bit of money and still buy secondhand, you can use Mosko Moto's secondhand marketplace that they host on their website. All right, so if you've bought motorcycle gear in the past, then you probably know about this, but stickers are pretty highly sought after in the motorcycle community. I mean, how would I build this sticker board if I didn't get stickers every time I bought something? But in all seriousness, Mosko Moto also includes a little sticker sheet that comes with whatever you're buying. And if you just need some Mosko Moto stickers, I think you can find them listed separately on their website as well. So now that we've talked about the pricing and its comparison to some of the other competitors, and also what's included with the $300 price that you're going to pay for this bag, let's move on to the sizing and fitment of this bag. Now, right now, I have this installed on my R1250 GS Adventure. This matches the contours of the tank on the motorcycle really well. And if you have an adventure motorcycle that has a flatter tank or more of like a rally style type seat, you might find that a bag like this doesn't fit it all that well. If you have a larger adventure bike that has kind of a flat tank on top that contours down the back and runs into the seat, I think that this is going to fit your bike pretty well. However, I will say that this is mostly just a large bike bag. It's pretty tall, it's pretty long, so if you try to install it on some smaller bikes, it's gonna take up a lot of real estate. I have put it on my 300 Rally in the past. You can see on the smaller bikes, the back of the tank bag tends to run over the front of the seat quite a lot. A lot of times when I'm on my smaller bike, it's because I'm gonna be riding more technical terrain. I wanna sit up really far forward on the seat, make sure that I have maximum like relaxation and control in my hands with the handlebars. This isn't really a bag that's conducive to being able to do that on a small bike. It's gonna take up a lot of space. It's probably going to get in your way if you're trying to ride aggressively. In my Mosko Moto Nomax review, I mentioned that that bag has a lot of give. It's a really soft bag, and so depending on how you pack it, it can actually kind of bend and flex and move out of the way quite a bit whenever you're moving around on the bike. While this bag is soft, it's definitely not as soft as the Nomax is. And so you'll find that this has a lot more structure to it. It's not as easy to move around, and it's definitely gonna feel like it's more in your way than the Mosko Moto Nomax will. This bag is really tall. I find that when I try to stand up on the bike and I wanna get my weight over the bars, this bag definitely gets in the way. And honestly, it's something that I didn't even really notice until I took the bag off of this bike. So I rode around with it for a long time and I thought, you know, this fits pretty well. It doesn't really seem to get in my way all that much when I'm riding off-road and when I'm standing up on the bike. But when I took this bag off, and I realized how much the bag was stopping me from moving forward on my bike and getting my weight over the bars in that front tire, I realized how much this bag truly interferes with riding aggressively. Mentally, you always know that it's there, even if you're not necessarily touching it all the time. It prevents you from being able to move as far forward on the bike as you might need to for technical terrain riding. That's the sizing and the fitment of the bag. Let's talk about how I pack it. So I have some items laid out here on the bike that I pack pretty much every time I run this tank bag. The configuration of the packing stays the same, except whenever I go moto camping, I just tend to add a couple of additional things to it. To start off, we'll open up the Molle Slim pouch, and the Molle Slim is probably the best option that I've found for keeping my phone in a convenient location when I'm on a motorcycle trip. One thing that I will briefly say about the Hood tank bag specifically is that because the top is flat and it has a little bit of a rigid structure up there, it takes Molle accessories really well. One complaint that I had about the Nomax was that once you put an accessory on the Molle pouch, like the Navigator pouch or even a Molle Slim, once you put your phone in there, that pouch also has rigidity to it, and so it doesn't follow the contour of the bag very well. And if you don't have some solid structure and a flat spot on the bag, like you don't on the Nomax, then it just doesn't fit as well as it does on this bag. Now, I really like the Molle Slim pouch. It has an additional zippered pouch on the top flap, and that's really good for storing things like earplugs, charging cables. It's even large enough to store a small power bank in it. The gripe that I have with the Molle Slim pouch is that if you have a flagship phone, like for example, mine is an iPhone 16 Pro Max. So if you have a Max phone or a Plus model phone, you're really going to be maxing out the capacity of the Molle Slim pouch. So right here, you can see that my phone is packed in here. There's not a lot of extra space near the bottom of the pouch for my charger to go. Thankfully, I just have a 90-degree USB-C charger, and so it ends up working pretty well with this bag, but the fitment is tight. So that's the Molle Slim pouch. From here, we'll open up the bag. We have this really nice one-handed clip. It's really easy to use with a gloved hand, and you can open and close your bag with one hand as well. A little bit harder to do that on some other options like the giant loops with the zippers. So that's another win, I think, for the Mosko Moto in this case. You just flip it up and you have access to everything that's inside your bag just like that. Now, as we mentioned earlier, we have a few zippered compartments in here. So there's a zippered compartment on the front of the bag. There's a zippered compartment on the back of the bag. They seem to be about the same capacity, but they're really good for storing smaller items. Additionally, in the bottom of the bag, there are some retention straps that you can use to keep things put if you want to kind of separate them from everything else in your bag or keep them from bouncing around. Here on the side, we also have the Velcro strip that attaches to the internal organizer pouch. Now, just like in the Molle Slim pouch, there is also a pretty sizable zippered pouch on the top flap of this bag on the inside. Again, that's really good for storing things like charging cables, power banks. Enough about how the bag is laid out. Let's talk about how I pack it. I keep my key, my motorcycle key, in the front pouch on the inside of the bag. And then I keep a power adapter inside the pouch on the back of the bag. Now, one thing that I've always been concerned about whenever I am taking a camera with me to different places is how to get it there safely. Cameras can be susceptible to damage from vibrations, obviously damage from elements. This might be me overthinking a little bit, but I've cut out this little piece of foam right here to match the shape of the bag. And if I'm gonna be carrying my camera with me, I just pop that in the bag, and that protects it from taking hard hits whenever I might be riding on some rougher terrain with this bike. With that foam in there, I will generally pack my camera first. That way I know how much room I have in other places, and then I can also find little nooks and crannies in the storage space to put other items. Among those other items, this is my Leatherman with a bit driver, some extra bits, and a small flashlight. So I will shove that down on the side of the foam. The next thing that I always like to carry in my tank bag is my tire plug kit. So in this kit, I have my tire plug applicator, CO2 cartridge, and a CO2 inflator. That is going to be the bare minimum that I need to fix a tubeless tire, and so I like to keep it accessible. And by keeping it in my tank bag, I know that even if I don't have my toolkit with me, I'm always going to have this kit with me. For the most part, that's how I travel with this bag when I'm commuting or something like that. I have room for a camera if I want to take it, and then if I don't take it, I have room for lots of other things that I can just throw in there throughout the day. When I'm camping, however, there are some additional things that I put in this bag, and there's a specific reason for that, and it's that I want these items to stay protected, and they might be items that I want to have quick and easy access to when I get to camp. Among those items are my tiny air pad inflator. Anytime I'm on a camping trip where I have a sleeping pad, I'm gonna take this with me. Another thing that I might consider carrying is a small bushcraft knife. I have had knives like this rust out really bad when they've gotten wet before on motorcycle trips, and so anymore, I like to carry these in a place that is completely waterproof. And then the last thing that I would throw in here for something like a camping trip is my headlamp. Now, most headlamps are waterproof nowadays anyway, but like I said, this isn't just for items that I want to keep protected. This is for items that I want to have quick, easy, and convenient access to as soon as I get to camp. So that's how I pack this bag. Hopefully this kind of allows you to visualize how you might pack this bag. One other feature on this bag that I forgot to mention that goes along with the one-handed clip is that they also have these grommets built into the closure strap and the top lid. Those grommets are so that you can put a padlock or a cable lock or something on your bag. I generally don't mess with things like that because if someone wants to get into this bag, they're going to be able to do it in much easier ways than even cutting a padlock that would be small enough to fit in that grommet. Bottom line is, if someone wants to get into your stuff, they're going to. Something else to mention for not only all Mosko tank bags, but any tank bags that have a strap mounted system or a harness that goes with them. Generally, especially if you're riding off-road and dust gets between the strap and your paint, these straps can oftentimes rub some dull spots into your paint. For me, it is unfortunate that it would do that, but it's an adventure bike. It's probably going to get dirty. It's probably going to get some scrapes and bruises. It's just kind of part of riding an adventure bike. Okay, so finally, let's talk about what makes this bag different from all of the other Mosko bags, or a lot of the other Mosko bags. Like we mentioned at the beginning of the video, Mosko Moto has 5 different tank bags that you can choose from today, and they all have a different set of features. What makes this bag unique is the fact that it's just a simple tub style bag. They only have one other bag that kind of functions similarly. That's the Pico tank bag, and it is significantly smaller. If you're looking to carry anything other than your wallet and your keys in your tank bag, then that bag probably isn't for you. The other thing that makes this bag different from every other bag except for the Pico is that it is 100% waterproof without the need for a rain cover. One thing that I really like about the 100% waterproof construction of the Mosko Moto Hood is that when I pull into camp at night, I don't even have to think about whether or not it's going to be dewy overnight. Sometimes those other bags you do have to be concerned about that. I've had items in my tank bag get wet when we had no rain overnight and it was just dew that saturated the bag. With this, I don't have to worry about that at any time. I don't have to ever worry about putting a rain cover on my bag when conditions might be shifting or getting a little wetter. And that is a really convenient feature of this bag. Something that's somewhat unique about this bag compared to other Mosko bags is that you can't use this bag off the bike. Mosko Moto has been really good about making their bags versatile on and off the bike in the past. I think the only other bag that doesn't have that feature is the Mosko Moto Pico. So if you buy a Gnome, a Nomini, or a Nomax, they all have ways to carry those bags off the bike. For the Gnome and the Nomini, they're little hip belts that allow your bag to work kind of like a fanny pack. And with the Nomax, they're backpack straps that make it really easy and convenient to carry off the bike. This bag doesn't really have a use if it's not on the bike. The last thing, in my opinion, that really sets this apart from other Mosko Moto tank bags is that it's an incredibly simple design. With things like the Gnome, the Nomini, and the Nomax, there's a lot of compartments in those bags, a lot of opportunities to organize your gear into different pouches and nooks and crannies. You don't get that with this bag. It is a very simple bag. There are some internal pockets in it, but for the most part, you just open it up and it's a large tub, and the organization and the way that you pack it is up to you. All right, so hopefully after exploring some reasons to buy this bag, how much you might end up buying it for, the sizing and the fitment of it, the way that we can pack it, and how it stands out from other Mosko Moto products and even some other tank bags out there on the market, you can make a better informed decision about whether or not this bag is right for you. And like I said earlier, I think that this is probably one of the best motorcycle tank bags that you can get if you're into any sort of motorcycle content creation. You can keep your cameras, batteries, mics, and everything in between up close and personal and easy to access when the moment is right. I think it's also true for a lot of other things that we just carry with us on the daily when we're riding motorcycles. Like you saw, I like to keep some items that are easily accessible up there, if nothing else, just to make sure that I always have them as long as I'm running my tank bag on my bike, even if I'm not carrying my toolkit. With that being said, if you have any questions about this tank bag, any of the accessories I discussed, or any of the other Mosko Moto tank bags that are not the Mosko Moto Pico, please feel free to reach out to me in the comments. I'll try to get back to you if you have any questions. If you liked this video, please hit the like button. It really helps me out. If you want to see more content like this, gear reviews, riding content, and other things like that, please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.